Let's talk about imposter syndrome. So I've pivoted my career 5 times. I've helped thousands of people pivot their careers or just start their career. And the thing that keeps coming up over and over and over again is this thing, imposter syndrome. So I just want to let's tackle it real quick, shall we? And I'm going to tag an episode by Myleik Teal in the comments or the notes section below because she did a wonderful podcast on imposter syndrome and how like it's not even real, right? It's like it's a made up term. So like I'll link that before. Um, but even though like it's not necessarily a real like scientific thing, it is a real thing in the way that we show up to life sometimes and show up to our work and the opportunities we allow ourselves to seek and the ones that we curtail ourselves from, right? Um, because I've been there. There's so many, and like even recently, something dawned on me recently that I was like, why did you accept this? And it was like, oh, because I thought I wasn't good enough, right? I thought I had to prove myself before I could accept XYZ, right? And that is imposter syndrome. It's like, actually, no, you didn't have to prove anything. I'm pretty sure if I'd asked for something, you know what? Now that I say that out loud, if you watch White Lotus, bear with me for a second. If you don't, hopefully I can explain this well enough that you can still follow me. Natasha Rothwell, I forgot her character's name, but in season 1, this wealthy lady promises her all this money so they can start a spa together because Natasha heals her. Now we won't even talk about like black labor and all that good stuff, but that was season 1. But eventually this woman finds a man and then she gets all lost in all that. And then she decides to leave with him and not follow through on this whole business idea with Natasha. Season 2, said woman actually loses her life because her husband is trash. If you're curious, just go watch the show. Season 3, Natasha comes back into the picture and she's reintroduced to this man, and now he's like super wealthy rich because he took his ex-wife's money. And because he knows that she knows part of the story, he tries to bribe her with $100,000. And Natasha says no initially because she feels like she doesn't want the dirty money. But then her son comes along and her son is like, first of all, take the money. Like, she was going to give you the money anyway. Like, you're not the reason for her death. And two, she was a billionaire. And if he got all that money, $100,000 is nothing to him. Ask for 5 million, right? And Natasha's like, no, 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 no. And then I love the last episode because she does something where I'm like, okay, so you finally realize the game and you finally realize your worth. And long story short, they get the 5 million. And I say this to say is initially she wouldn't take the 100,000, or even if she did take the 100,000, can you imagine 100,000, 5 million, all because she realized, like, no, I can ask for more. And the man didn't flinch. He gave her the 5 mil. Easy. She woke up the next morning with it in her account. And when we talk about imposter syndrome, we feel like we're not enough, we're not deserving, we're not whatever. And the things that we are enough, we are deserving. We've put in the work, right? Like you deserve to be wherever you want to be. Like I deserve to be where I am. I'm putting in a lot of work, pivoting my career 5 times from a school social worker, nonprofit, higher ed, local government, education tech. I took a sabbatical and now I'm working in SaaS, right? Like, I should be here. I'm not a fraud, right? I felt all those things, but like, you don't get where you are. You don't get where I am because you're not good. You're not dedicated to your craft, right? So I want to offer us a different framework today, right? Instead of fighting a ghost, I want to show you how to build a fortress, right? It's a concept from a philosopher named Naval Ravikant, and it's called specific knowledge. And our specific knowledge is what allows us to show up to every single room and know that we're that girl. Because specific knowledge is something that you just know innately, that you're just good at. No one necessarily taught you, but you're good at it. Let's say like conflict resolution. People pay a lot of money for conflict resolution, and maybe you're just good at it. And it could be a number of reasons. One, it could be your temperament. Two, it could be maybe the household that you grew up in, there's a lot of conflict and you learned how to manage that well. You can never teach that in a classroom. It's lived. And then on top of that, maybe because you're so good at it, you also gravitated toward it. And then maybe you did get a degree in conflict resolution or social work or whatever the case might be, right? But that whole combination, you understand things differently because of that specific knowledge. And everything that we do in life, we're bringing our own specific knowledge to it. And the more and more you lean into your specific knowledge, then more and more you can just middle finger to imposter syndrome, right? And I'm sorry, I'm a bit sick. So if I look a little like, girl, what's she doing? My nose is a little itchy. I might pause here and there. So if there are some breaks. So you've probably seen the quote, it's super overused. It's like, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And that's some of it, but the idea is much more powerful when you use specific knowledge because pretty much what its specific knowledge is saying is that what looks like work to others feels like play to you, right? So when they say, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, that means that, like, for example, I'll use an example from like back in the day when I first maybe even started realizing this concept. When I was in college, I was vice president in diversity. I was vice president of diversity, equity, and inclusion my senior year of college. So that was one of the highest positions as a student I could have. I spent a lot of time speaking with school administrators. I had a budget. I oversaw pretty much every single um, student group on campus because I was part of the government, and therefore I was able to say, like, how is this equitable? How is it not equitable? Like, let's look at budgets to make sure every group has enough money to do what they need to do, stuff like that. Um, and so my role was talking to a lot of students, and it was also talking to a lot of people who were paid. And mind you, if you work in student affairs, you probably have a master's or PhD. Like, you should know this stuff really well. So I would walk into meetings with like our VP of student affairs, our dean of students, people who were paid very well, like high six figures. Like the college is paying for their houses, is paying for their students' tuition, their kids' tuition, right? And I walk into those meetings and I would say stuff and they'd be like, wait, how do you know that? Or how did you think about that? Blah, blah, blah. And the reason why I knew all this stuff was because without anybody asking me, one, I'm a Black woman living in this world. Like I obviously care about diversity, equity, inclusion. I come from working class parents. I come from immigrant parents. There's so many things about me that fall into that category of DNI. So I care about that deeply as just who I am. And then on top of that, I'm just very curious about it. So I had Google alerts. So depending on what's happening at other campuses with diversity, equity, inclusion, I would get that in my inbox daily. I follow people on social media that talk about this stuff. So I was always getting news and thinking about this stuff. So by the time I came to a meeting, I probably already knew what was happening. I already thought through the new policy. I already thought through whatever. And people were always amazed by it. And it was nothing special to me because I was like, oh, I'm just following what I like. Right. And over the years, that has changed. And like, I still obviously care deeply about diversity, equity, inclusion, but my job titles have changed and my career has changed. But the same thing has always stayed true. I always follow my curiosity and my deep entrenched knowledge. So when I walk into rooms and I say stuff and I do stuff, people are like, "Oh, how do you know? How are you so ahead of the curve?" And I wouldn't necessarily call myself ahead of the curve. I'm just curious because I've lived it and I'm more curious about it. So like I read about it all the time, and because I'm living it, I'm constantly experiencing how it's adapting in the real world. So when I come to a table at a corporate office and I tell you about how to adequately redesign your policy, excuse me, it's not coming from theory, it's coming from lived experience. And that is specific knowledge. And that is why imposter syndrome just doesn't make sense, right? Because, like, no, I know this deeply, right? Like, I study this. I am her, you know? So I just want to like give you that example. And I hope that example helps you highlight this more. If you need me to explain more, I'm more than happy to do it, right? Um, so it was play for me, right? This depth of knowledge that they didn't have. It was play for me to learn it and to implement it, right? So no one can compete with me or you with whatever your specific knowledge is because no one is ever going to have that curiosity or that lived experience, right? So another point I want to make out is like imposter syndrome creates an empty room, right? And what that means is like let's go a level deeper. So it's just not about feeling better about like, oh, okay, there's no imposter syndrome. It's about understanding the profound strategic cost of feeling like an imposter. When you're in the mode of imposter syndrome, it's almost always puts you in the mode of being a copycat, right? Because you're looking around you and you're trying to figure out what are other people doing, how are other people successful. And by doing that, you are constantly copying others, right? So you're trying to act like someone else, the expert you admire, the last person you saw, give a talk, do the thing that you're doing. But think about what's actually happening when you do that. First, the person you're trying to copy is not in the room. They're not there because they're doing their own thing. They're being themselves someplace else. They can't be there. And second, and this is the most important part, you are not in the room either because you're ignoring your specific knowledge. You're ignoring the oomph about you because you're trying to be someone else. So the room is empty. The real you, the one with all the unique stories and the brilliant insights, is hiding in a persona. So who's left? There's no one in the room. Whatever impact you were trying to have is now gone. It's useless because you're wasting your time and you're wasting everyone else's time by not showing up as yourself. So you are not there. The person you're trying to emulate is not there. So no one is there. It's empty, right? So be yourself. And this is why specific knowledge is such a powerful framework to lean into because it's the antidote to the empty room. It's the strategy that ensures that one, oh my God, one irreplaceable person, you, is actually present, right? If you're trying to be anyone else other than you, it won't work because you can never be them and no one else can ever be you. The only person in this entire world who can be you is you. So lean into that. And with that, the reason why specific knowledge is such a clutch framework is because confidence is built through repetition and knowledge. So the more you're living your life, the more you're curious about what you want, the more confident you're getting in what you have to say. Right. So it squashes down imposter syndrome a little bit more. So these are 5 ways you can uncover your specific knowledge. Your specific knowledge isn't something you need to invent. It's something you need to excavate, right? So follow the weird question. What are the topics you find yourself Googling at 11 p.m., right? What kind of YouTube rabbit holes do you fall into? How did you find this YouTube? The questions you ask when no one's watching or no one is forcing you to like ask those questions are the powerful clue for your specific knowledge is. So identify your current hyperfixation. And it might not be hyperfixation. As with ADHD, I go into like deep holes of like, I need to know. And then I'm like, okay, I know enough. So I know that some of you are thinking, especially if you have ADHD or if you're a multi-hyphenate, you're thinking, okay, but I Google so many things. And you're right, right? But let's be honest, you're probably hyperfixated on one or two things at a time, like really and truly, right? So lean into that. Think of it like an 80-20 rule for your brain space. Yes, you have a dozen interests swirling around, right? But for now, for me, my interests are careers, change management, baking, cooking, right? So my career around change management and training, and then my love for cooking and baking, right? So those are the two buckets, right? That take up a lot of my mental real estate in the current season of my life. So that's my clue, right? That's what I need to dig into more. And I don't know if I'm ever going to post, but I do a lot around, like, I think about baking and cooking and careers in a similar way of like, you have these base ingredients and you keep adapting and reinventing yourself to come up with all these new meals, right? So in my brain, it all makes sense, and everything I do kind of compounds on it, but it just makes me think differently depending on which one I'm doing, right? So that's how I think through it. But for you, like, make it actionable. Like, look at your last month. What is the topic, whether it's articles, substacks, podcasts that you're binging that you keep gravitating more towards? Your YouTube algorithm, right? In this case, it works for you, right? What does the algorithm keep popping up for you, keep showing you because you keep clicking on them or because you keep like randomly searching it? right? Ask ChatGPT. I love ChatGPT because I think out of all the LLMs is the best with memory, right? So ask ChatGPT, out of everything you know about me, what do I seem most curious about? What keeps coming up? Ask it. What do you think my specific knowledge is? It might not be correct, it might be wrong, but just ask it, right? Think to yourself, if you had a free day, a free Saturday with no obligations, what is a project that you'd be most excited to dive into? The answer to those questions points to your current hyperfixation, right? So let's connect it a little bit. Once you've identified your dominant curiosity in the moment, that's your signal. It's not random. It is like it's your signpost pointing you toward where you need to grow. So do that. For my 9 to 5ers, if you find that you've had this obsession for a month or two, it's a strategic signal, right? It might mean you need to find a new project at your current job that lets you scratch that itch, right? Or it might be the signal that your current job no longer aligns with your deep-seated curiosity and it's time to start looking for a new one. For my entrepreneurs, it could be a new project, it could be something new, a new partnership that you might want to explore. And I would also push you to conduct informational interviews, right? So think of 3 people whose job fascinates you, whose life fascinates you, even if they're totally unrelated to your current career, your current life, and reach out and ask for 15 minutes of their time just because you're genuinely curious about what they do and how they've achieved what they've achieved. So this isn't like with the goal of getting something for them, it's literally data collection for your own soul, for your own well-being, right? And then also listen to podcasts, listen to Day of the Lives, like go on YouTube for a Day of the Life, go on TikTok and explore that. And then audit your zone of genius. Ask 5 friends or trusted colleagues like this one question, right? What kind of problem do you immediately think of when what type of problem do you think I can solve, right? And listen to their answers. They often see the play in your work more clearly than you do. Their responses will show you what your brand already is, right? If they think of a problem, they're like, oh, this is the person I go to. That means that you're able to solve that problem in a way that seems effortless. And take that. And it could be your zone of genius or it could be your zone of competence. Who knows? But listen to what they're saying and excavate that. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go read um, Guy Hendricks' Life Leap. Go read Life Leap, right? The Big Leap. I'll put in the comments. Or yeah, I'll put it in the comments. And then number 4, take one of your obsessions and build a small, tangible thing around it. It could be a one-page newsletter, it could be a TikTok series, just something to like get it out there and also find your people. Right? The act of creation forces you to structure your knowledge and make it real. And last but not least, number 5, what's the one topic that if someone brings up at a party, you can talk about for 20 minutes straight without even trying, right? Like if you bring up travel, if you bring up cooking, baking, certain TV shows, I can just yap all day long, right? Obviously, career stuff and mindset stuff as well. But this is probably the heartland of your specific knowledge. Your genuine enthusiasm is the signpost, so lean into that. So, all in all, imposter syndrome is a symptom of measuring yourself with someone else's ruler. You feel like a fraud because you're trying to play their game, right? But when you find and operate from your specific knowledge, you're not playing their game anymore. You're inventing your own. And you can't be an imposter at a game that you've created. Like, duh. So, no one compete with you on being you. Find what feels like play to you and build your expertise there. And you will never feel like a fraud again. And if everything I just said doesn't land, first, thank you for watching this far. Second, please listen to the My League Teal podcast. I think it will help a lot.